The most important part of any fat loss phase is not the diet, it's actually what you do after. And I know that because I've lived it. I've done photo shoots where I've had to go down to 1500 calories and spent 21 weeks getting lean. And if I didn't do this process after finishing that diet, I would most likely just end up back to square one, putting all the weight back on and wondering what the hell happened. So in this video, I'm going to explain about how you can properly reverse diet to make sure that you set yourself up for the best possible phase of when you finish your fat loss. So you've lost some weight, you've been restricting yourself for weeks or even months. Tracking has become a drag and you're really excited to go back to normal. You just want some life back. You want to be able to just take the mental load of dieting off, and I completely get that. So you loosen up. One meal becomes 3 or 4 meals out. A weekend off becomes a whole week off, and your training is maybe just an afterthought and your steps are nowhere near where they used to be. And you find yourself just slowly creeping back to that start place that you have desperately changed from. And I've seen it happen so many times that it's just not surprising anymore. And it's not a lack of discipline, it's usually a lack of knowledge. So I'm going to get into why it happens. When you've been in a calorie deficit for, let's just say 12 to 20 weeks or maybe even longer, your body has adapted. Your metabolism has been down-regulated to match your new lower food intake and your current body weight. Your hunger signals are off the charts, and hormonally you just want to eat food, and everything is just saying go and eat that cake, go and eat that burger. And your body is just generally primed at this stage to gain a lot of body fat back. So when I finished my photo shoot prep at 1500 calories, my metabolism adjusted down and I was sitting at a lower body fat than ideally I'd want to sit at year round, because it's just not a sustainable place to live long term. If I was to just go straight back up to 2,500, 2,800, I would have gained a lot quicker than I would have wanted to. And that's not a guess. I'm not just guessing that. That's exactly what happens and why you need to take this reverse diet approach. And I think the second problem that most people forget is a reverse diet only works if you've got lean enough in the first place. This is the thing most guys forget though, is if you're trying to reverse diet from a place where you're not lean enough, it's not going to work anyway. Like for example, I'm going to put this image up here. This is not a great place to reverse from. I hadn't lost enough fat. I wasn't as lean as I wanted to be, whereas this was an excellent place to reverse from. 2 different body fats, 2 different weights, but one is going to be way better than the other. The reverse diet is not a reward for finishing a diet. It's a tool to get you back to a place of being able to sustain what you've done up to that point and not just put all the weight back on. And that ultimately means you get lean enough first. And we recommend for most guys, you get to that kind of 10, 15% body fat range before you start that building process of your calories again. So if you're watching this and you're still a bit soft, you might be carrying a gut and there's still body fat around areas that you're not happy with, you likely just need to keep going rather than doing this magical reverse diet that a lot of people speak about, which is only really worthwhile once you're lean. And for my personal preference, I got to 10 to 12% before that even happened, and it meant for a better reverse diet in the first place. So the process of actually doing it, what does that look like? Now, the first thing you're going to look at is actually your ending intake. For everyone, this is going to really vary. Some guys are going to finish their diets, like me, on 1500 calories, unfortunately, and others are going to finish a lot higher. You need to figure out that because that gives you your first base for your increase. I personally like to increase by around about 300 to 400 initially from your lowest. So if you finished on 1500, you're now going to go up to 1800 to 1900. If you finished on 2000, you might go to 2300, 2400. This gives you a little bit of a bump so you can then start to build the process up from there. I'd recommend most of that increase coming from carbohydrates. Now, I know a lot of you will probably just be tracking calories and protein, but realistically, getting more food in from carbs is going to help you with glycogen in your workout. It's going to make you just generally feel better. It's probably going to regulate your hunger more than it currently is and put you in a position where training feels good again. And what you got to remember, if you're adding very small amounts of carbohydrates every couple of weeks, it's not going to realistically just be a bunch of body fat that you're going to gain. The increases are so small that you can get yourself to a point where you're eating a lot more and not really having a ton of weight gain off the back of it. With things like steps and cardio, I'd probably taper these down dependent on where you're at with your journey. So if you finished your diet and you're doing 2000 calories of cardio, you probably want to pull that down slightly each week just so you can match it to a more sustainable level. If your steps are finished on a moderate amount, I would honestly just keep them there, because the thing is, if you're doing more steps, if you're still doing some cardio, it will allow you to push your food up, which is probably going to better your training performance and better your recovery as well. What you've got to imagine is your body has got a set of levers. You've got your calories, you have your steps, and you have your food. When you finish your diet, the lever for your food is going to be way high. It's probably going to be at its lowest and you've got not much room there, and your steps and cardio might be moderate. So you just want to pull on the ones that make the most sense to give you the best position to be in. Like for me, I always prefer utilizing my nutrition versus like doing loads of steps and loads of cardio. And I've got clients that prefer to do more steps and cardio so they can eat more food. Everyone's got a preference and you need to kind of figure that out for yourself. yourself. And realistically, after doing this for 4 or 5 weeks, you should find yourself at your new maintenance pretty quickly. And ideally, you're going to gain somewhere in the region of maybe a few pounds within that time, because you're going to have glycogen increases, you're going to retain a bit more water, and you're going to be in a position where you're still just as lean on a much more sustainable amount of food that you can now sit at for as long as you want. Like, you could sit here for the next 6 months to a year. You might choose to go into a gaining phase and gain at a rate that's sensible to you. But by doing this, you give yourself choice. What you're not doing is putting that 10, 20, 30 pounds that you lost in the diet back on within the space of a month or two. You're setting yourself up for the long run and actually being able to sustain this for life. And every cycle you do this, every diet you do, you'll get better. Easier, you'll be able to respond better from it because you'll learn from the process of doing it. But you need to get lean first to make it happen. And just to prove that we do this for clients, here's Charlie here. You can see that he lost 14 kilos over the space of many months before eventually reversing his calories back up to 3,000 a day with very, very minimal weight gain. Again, the same process for Stuart here. Initial diet into reverse, and then he actually then ended up doing a photo shoot, so he dieted from a way better position because of the initial fat he'd lost. And then again, we've got Michael here as well. These guys didn't just get lean, they stayed lean. So to bring it all together, the reverse diet is the most important part of your actual fat loss itself. It's the part which helps you stay lean. And as long as you're doing the things correctly, like getting to that body fat percentage of about 10 to 15 first, reversing calories up slowly by having little increments each week, tapering things like steps and cardio down, and then keeping your training performance high, you'll get to that position where, again, you have a lot of choice, like Charlie, like Stuart, like Mike. Like, they all ended up in great positions because they did it the right way. Our link down below will help you with this to get you set up with your actual diet if you're not there yet, or even if you are lean enough and you're thinking about a reverse diet, how to follow that approach as well. Go and check it out. And if you like stuff like this, remember to subscribe for the next video.